Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Doctor. It is 1:29 p.m. here in the Pacific Northwest, and I hope you are all having a fantastic start to your Tuesday. I know a lot of you guys are probably just getting home from work right now. We are going to be taking a look at King Oelde, and for those of you that might not know, King Oelde is on the next banner, along with Medina that was just released, and we haven't talked about him much, and I think there's a lot of people who have questions about him as a unit. So we're going to kind of go over his viability, whether you should be leveling him, and we're going to go ahead and jump right into the information here. So his first job is Lancer, his second job is Monk, his third job is Samurai, and he actually has a hidden fourth job called Protector of the Bloodline. That's complete bullshit, but honestly, he is the best Protector of the Bloodline in the world. His TMR is going to be Guardian's Mantle. It's going to give a very powerful HP plus 350 and evasion plus 15. I would say it's one of the probably best TMRs you could probably get. Plus 15 evasion on an accessory allows you to get a barrier piece of armor that you could equip. For King Oelde, I think that's pretty powerful. His master ability also adds HP plus 10% and attack plus 20%. What you're going to find out as we go through here is actually an insane combination for him as a unit. Looking at his base stats, he does have 2,338 HP, placing him in 6th place out of all the units for max HP. Keep in mind as well that he also gets that HP plus 10%, giving him an additional 230 HP on top of that, putting him at about 2,560 HP without any other HP boosting modifiers. His TP and AP come in at 23rd and 25th. You know, not too bad. Movement of 3, jump of 1. Again, pretty standard for a beefier tanky unit. His attack of 281 is beastly though. 5th highest attack. Kind of a trend we're seeing with spear users right now. His attack also gains an additional plus 58 attack, putting him at upwards of 330 attack. Magic's pretty low, agility coming in at 52, and I want to shout out to all of you users out there who are talking about agility being the main drawback, and that's why you'll never use Eileen or King Oelde. But paint a perspective, that gives him 56 agility. Let's say that you have a unit like, I don't know, Sid, for example, who maybe has about 65 agility. Really what that means is Sid is only about 10 to 15% faster than King Oelde. So yes, they'll probably act first, but things to think about in terms of how heavily we weigh agility as one of the best stats in the game. Dexterity comes in at 154 with an additional plus 60. Again, anything with dexterity over 200 is going to be good. And I think probably one of the main drawbacks of him is his low luck at 139, even with an additional plus 42. I'm not seeing it for luck, so we might see his critical evasion be a little bit lower than usual. We don't have the formula out for that yet, but it is something to think about. There are 2 other stats on here that are not on his primary board that he gets from his ability board. He does get an initial AP of plus 15, which for any of you that know how powerful AP can be, plus 15 AP is incredible. It's really going to allow him to unleash some of his powerfuler attacks earlier in the match, and overall I would say way to go with that, very strong. Critical hit rate of plus 17 as well. He is going to be the type of unit that does have a critical hit rate build, and we are going to be talking about that in just a little bit. Looking at his passives here, he has 2 different subs, right? Or 3 technically. He has Samurai, Lancer, and then he has his Monk sub. We're going to throw Monk sub out the window because I really don't see us using his Monk capability. Not only that, he has so much access to Piercing Plus damage that I doubt he would ever use his Monk counter or his Monk abilities at all. I think you're primarily going to see him as sub Samurai. The reason I think that is because of the ability Illusion, which is going to give an evasion of 10 to a max of 25% when it's fully capped out. It's a very powerful technique in PvP, and it's one of those techniques that will just build up that AP as well as make yourself more powerful defensively. He also is going to have access to meditation. I threw this on here for any of you guys that are working right now on increasing the brave of your units. He is a unit that is capable of increasing the bravery for them. Vacuum Slash is going to be a 65x to 100x modifier with a crit plus of 10% to 25% after for 3 turns. So this is going to be important for that critical hit build. It does cost AP 33, but remember he gets that AP plus 15 initially, and it does have a 3 space range. So Next to Nighthawk, this is going to be sort of the more powerful Nighthawk that you unlock later down the road. And this is pretty beastly, you guys. If you can imagine how many times Nighthawk has probably killed you, Vacuum Slash is going to murder you and make him even stronger. So I would build around Vacuum Slash if I were playing King Eld, and that would be my primary technique that I would be focusing on. I would want to make sure that I get that AP plus 180, so if I could, I would want to try and increase his initial starting AP to land so that I have AP 33 or more at the beginning. Nighthawk is going to be your bread and butter. It has 4 range, so it has 1 more range than Vacuum Slash, and it's going to be that technique that you're using through the lower levels. It's a negative 5x to 21x modifier, so it is not nearly as strong as Vacuum Slash. It does only cost 17 AP. It has significantly more uses, but you're probably going to be using this in order to hit units that are like trying to hide behind a pillar or any other unit that is just out of range of Vacuum Slash. And if you think about the high amount of critical hit rate that King Eld has, if you think about the high amount of attack, it does kind of balance out. You also have to consider, though, that spears have less attack than most traditional weapons. And I think you're probably going to be wanting to use a crit spear with these builds, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to his passives. Earth and Glory. The problem I have with Earth and Glory is that he does not have high movement, and he has to get within range to use it. I could see this being powerful, but I also see it not being powerful. It's a good tool to have leveled in case you ever get in close quarters combat, but again, I don't think there's many times when you're going to be in close quarters with more than 2 units and be at an advantage, so I think you're probably never going to use Earth and Glory. Again, though, I would level it anyway. Burst Slash, I would say, is a pretty strong medium range attack that does offer a knockback, so it's a 35x to 70x modifier. It's that nice middle of the road attack where maybe you don't have enough AP for Vacuum Slash, you want to do more damage than Nighthawk. It gives him that versatility, right? It gives him that versatility of either having a longer range attack, or it gives him that versatility of doing more damage. So it comes right in the middle there, and it's going to be really key to building out his kit. In terms of counter, I'm going to 100% recommend Counter Thrust because it does have the 2 range counter ability as opposed to Fist Counter, modified by Piercing Attack as well, which is probably what you're going to be building him for. You do have access to Third Eye, which is a 10 to 20% chance to proc plus 5 to 10% evasion. I would not set this, especially with Counter Thrust. I think with the amount of HP that he has, you're probably going to be building him either for a beefy HP build where maybe you get the evasion bonus from Illusion and maybe that saves you once or twice, but I think evasion is going to be a secondary build, right? I think he's one of those units that has that rare build of high HP plus evasion combination. He's almost like a middle of the road unit. I would not lean him too heavily to either side for that. In terms of passives, he does have Blade Soul, and Blade Soul would be one that I would probably set. It gives attack plus 10 to 25% at max, evasion plus 5 to 12% max, and it decreases his defense at 10 at the lowest level and then 3 at the highest level. I think this is probably one of his most powerful passives. Again, that evasion plus 12%. You're probably going to be popping Illusion right away when you enter into a PvP match. That's an innate 37% evasion plus whatever else you probably have. Very powerful. On the flip side of that, you also have HP up, which I probably would not set. I also see Deadly Mastery here, which is probably his secondary most powerful passive at a critical hit rate of 10 to 25%. So if you factor in maybe building him for a critical hit build, this could be very powerful. So if you're thinking a passive of plus 25 with, say, maybe the Drake's Horn Spear that has plus 28 critical hit rate, you're already at 53 with an additional plus 17 critical hit rate from his passives that are innate. That puts him at 70% critical hit rate plus the addition of maybe a Cactar card or something. It's possible you could get him very close to 100% critical hit rate. Again, something to think about when building him. I would actually go for probably Blade Soul and Deadly Mastery as his passives. I think there's a lot of people out there that are like, why would you do that when you could set Pierce Mastery for that plus 15 piercing? Honestly, I think you're more likely to get more benefit out of the critical hit rate if you're building him or have a critical hit rate spear. I think that the low attack nature of spears is probably going to offset the benefits of Pierce Mastery, right? Because Pierce Mastery is very beneficial when you have a higher plus attack or plus attack percentage on your character. And while King Eld does have 330 attack, the spears that he's going to be using are going to be lower attack than the attack of maybe like an assault gun or an assault greatsword that someone's using. So some perspective there, you're going to get less from Pierce Mastery than you're probably going to get from Deadly Mastery in the long run. Strike Mastery I would just never set. In terms of resistances, he is the type of unit that's totally a brawler. He has 20% resistance to slash. He is weak to fist, but there's not very many fist units in the meta. He is 10% weak to magic. Again, he offsets that though with a 20% resistance to ice, so Medina's out there, you better watch out. Especially if he has Ifrit set, that's going to be a plus 30% resistance to ice. He's weak to water, but really there's no real water mages right now until we get the water mages from JP that comes out. He has a 50% resistance to blind and a 50% resistance to disable. Blind, very powerful technique, especially if you're a Ryu user. And I believe Frederica also has an access to an ability that does inflict blind as well. In terms of Espers, we're going to be looking at Odin for his Maneater and high base stats. We're going to be looking at Ifrit for piercing attack, ice, and missile resist. I would actually say that Ifrit is the best Esper to place on King Eld. Golem is going to have Maneater, defense, and high stats. I would say that Golem is probably the secondary best Esper, or Siren here with high agility and piercing attack plus. Cactuar, if you're going for that critical hit build with a critical hit of plus 20% and Maneater on him, if you're going for the crit build, you have to put Cactuar on him. And of course, Behemoth, as we're going to be calling her from now on, attack plus and has good agility. I will always recommend Behemoth. She is just absolutely incredible. Now, looking at the different types of cards, you guys, I'm sorry I don't have the names of all the cards here, but I am going to do my best to call them out as I go through. And if you have any questions on what cards these are, go ahead and hop on the Reddit and they will have the information readily available there. We do have Ramza here. He is the new card that offers slashing attack plus for the unit, and he does offer agility plus for the party. Ifrit, of course, for the attack, Odin for the Maneater, Shiva, if you're leaning a little bit towards that evasion build, you should always be using Shiva if you have a PvP evasion comp. We're going to have Run Through Snowfields if you're looking for that high base stat, along with that piercing attack bonus. We have Golem for the survivability, max HP plus. We have Secret Orders right here, which is going to give you the agility plus, and then we are going to have that slashing attack damage as well. Leonis Castle, if you want to make him a little bit more tankier, might actually be a really good route to go. Cactuar, of course, for the agility plus and critical hit rate plus. We have the Running with the Bulls for Horn Castle, which is going to be an attack plus 30%, which is a raw attack plus modifier. You're definitely going to want to set this if you're going for the piercing attack mastery. This, stacked with Ifrit for a plus 80% attack bonus on King Eld when fully maxed, is probably an excellent way to make use of that Pierce Mastery bonus if you're going to be setting that. And of course we have Funtime here with that critical rate plus 20% and that attack plus for the party. That really good middle of the road card. I will always recommend Funtime for you guys. You guys, we are at that point where we've reached the end of the video. I hope you're all going to have a fantastic day and a good evening on this Tuesday night. Do make sure to check out our stream. We are streaming every night from 8 p.m. Pacific to 1 a.m. Pacific right now on every night except Mondays. And make sure you leave a comment. I do try my absolute hardest to respond to all of them. It is getting a little bit difficult now though. And also, please check out our Discord. We do have a lot going on in there. If you're a new player, there's plenty of information in there and plenty of people who are willing to help you. Thank you so much, you guys, and have a great rest of your Tuesday night.